The bounty system and bounty markers. You're out in space and oops, you happen to get some crime stat. Now all of a sudden you have to deal with the fact that there could be a bounty out there on your head and players can hunt you. Now, currently, the bounty system lets players who accept that bounty mission know exactly where you are. Is it fair? Is it a good idea? Well, yes and no. In general, I think that the bounty system as it's currently implemented with this kind of, as people sometimes call it, the God marker that just, kind of lets everybody know where you are if they're looking for you, that is it a good idea? Is it fair in the current implementation of the game? And I would say that depending on how CIG develops things, this is probably as unfair as it would be. This would probably be the maximum. And I mean, realistically, it's kind of like combat situations in Star Citizen. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. Like, I just destroyed an NPC, earned crime stat, but at the same time, I see a player doing a mission here. I don't want to attract too much attention. I don't want to add to the crime stat, so I'm just kind of leaving it be. I'm just going to kind of be like, here, flash my lights at him, okay? Letting him know I'm here, just so he'll hopefully just fly away so I can just kind of carry on. And that's kind of one of the things about the marker that I do like, is the fact that it makes you much more careful in your approach. It makes you more thoughtful about what you're going to do as a criminal, right? This is the good stuff. This is the stuff where all of a sudden where you're not just kind of going by a script. You're now kind of going play by play. You don't know what cards you're going to be dealt, and so you're just kind of trying to play them the best that you can. And that's where I think that things like the bounty marker are a good thing, because they make you think about what you're going to do. And it's not just like, shoot up everybody, You have to think about, your current situation, what you've done, how you're going to get out of it. You have to kind of be a little bit smarter and a little bit more in depth about things. And some people might find that tedious, but I would say that that's kind of, it's kind of always been one of the hallmarks of PC gaming, which has been the games tend to be a little bit deeper and, sometimes a little less surface glitz, but overall, very, very deep and very involved and very strategic games. And so I like this fact about the current implementation of the bounty marker. Would I like it if it was just gone? I think short term, yeah, it would be like, hell yeah, now I can just do whatever I want. No one can catch me. But I think that after a while that would get really boring. It's kind of one of those situations where, like I've said it before, it's not about always giving players what they want. It's about giving players what they need. That's kind of the difference. And I think that, yeah, if you got rid of it, would it really kind of take us to a place that we really want to go to? Or would it really take Star Citizen to a place that we, as a community, pirates and non-pirates alike, where we would want Star Citizen to be? I don't think so. I think that it would have a negative impact for everyone involved. For pirates, it would be more convenient in the short term, but in the long term, it would be boring, and it would make the career far less thoughtful. And I think a lot of us kind of got into it because we wanted to play a much, a more complicated version of Star Citizen, a more exciting version of Star Citizen than just kind of like ho-hum, delivering goods, being a good guy, la-di-da, like we want something a little bit more intense and a little bit more exciting. Over the long term, though, going into the future, I would like to see certain changes made. Like, as the features of the game kind of come online, as we are able to do, when we have more of a palette to paint from in terms of developer tools and in-game systems, then I would like to definitely see the system change. For one, I don't think that in the future, once we've kind of gotten to a certain point where we can kind of allow for us, for added levels of gameplay complexity. I don't think that it should give the exact location. I think that it should be kind of like, like the police put out an APB and they say suspect is in this area driving this vehicle, and so the cops are out in that area looking for that vehicle. I think that it should be very much the same thing. An alert goes out over, the communications satellites. It's relayed to everyone in the system, and it says, there is this individual flying this ship. Keep an eye out for them. Here's the reward if you catch them. That sort of thing. And it'll say last seen in. And if they ever get spotted by a comm array satellite or an official kind of monitoring station that is controlled by, whatever police agencies in the universe control that area, then it would update and say last seen in this area, last seen in that area. And then players would have to kind of go and get to that area and then start narrowing it down, and maybe through the use of scanners or different techniques, they could narrow down where you are and say, okay, now I know he's in the Crusader area, so what moon roughly is he around? Oh, he's around Yela. Okay, so now I get to Yela and I start kind of exploring, and maybe just kind of in the background, listening to sensors or conversations between pilots and stuff, and oh, hey, I saw a red ship over there, and you go, oh, then you go over there and you get closer. I think that for bounty hunting in particular, it should involve hunting. It shouldn't be like, go to this spot, shoot thing. It should involve some kind of gameplay elements of tracking that player down and finding out different little clues about that player. Like, oh, they're flying a Cutlass. So a Cutlass emits some sort of, certain electromagnetic signature. Well, I know it's a Cutlass. I know it's in the Crusader area. So what if I get to this area and then I kind of, do whatever on the sensors, bloop, bloop, bloop. And then all of a sudden it goes like, oh, over by Yela. Something like that. Something that makes it interesting. Something that makes it a chase and not just a go to point A and shoot. Something like that. I think that would make it a much better system. But on the other side of things, I think what would also make it cool and what would make it interesting from a pirate point of view is, once again, we kind of dip into the world of hacking and, manipulating data. But what if, you can pay off a hacker within the pirate community or within, the criminal underworld of, say, Stanton or whatever system, and they'll put out, they can go and hack into a satellite and put a false report in that says like, oh no, Minion's over here, he's over by New Babbage, and everyone's like, let's get him. They all go to New Babbage, but meanwhile you're down at Crusader. Or maybe you can spoof it so that it makes you track down an NPC ship mistakenly identified as your ship, and it isn't until the player gets up close and does a detailed scan of that ship that they realize that, oh no, this isn't the pirate ship, this is just a regular civilian. But if they're overzealous, maybe they end up shooting an innocent ship, and maybe they have to answer for that themselves. I think that having the system the way that it is, I think it for now, for the state of the game and for the tools that the developers have, I'm actually quite okay with it. But in the future, I would like to see them do some very interesting things with it. And in the future, like, the way that it exists now, I'll accept it. But if we're talking about a year, 2 years into the future, or maybe further, if it's still in the game the way it is now, then I'm going to be very disappointed. Because I feel that over the next while, I mean, there are reasonable opportunities to kick open a few interesting gameplay doors and maybe add some depth and some enjoyability, some enjoyment to this feature. I get why it's limited now, but if it remains this way, I'd be brutally disappointed in it. And just to elaborate on that, I think that in the future it should be the same for, like, if you're hunting down NPCs, even like when we get the pirate bounty missions. to go hunt down this guy who won't take bribes anymore or something like that. It shouldn't just be a case of he's actually right here. It should be like, last seen in and around Crusader, flies an Avenger. Okay, we know he flies an Avenger, so we can narrow it down. Oh, he's over by Yela. Get to Yela, narrow it down a little bit further. You know, maybe he uses a certain type of shields or a certain type of guns on the ship. And that allows you to narrow it down until you actually find that person. Hunting people down in Star Citizen shouldn't just be a case of seeing a marker and warping to it. It should actually be a hunt. But given the current state of the game, I can kind of accept it for now.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.